Hey trappers, Dale Billingsley here, Billingsley Brand Lures. So guys, what I thought I would do today, since it's pretty windy out, I don't know how much I could really actually film and get the audio to come across right. But what I thought I would do today is kind of go over some different snare locks that I have here on 5/64 1x19 cable today. Then maybe possibly tomorrow or in the next day I can get the same locks on 3/32 7x7, because I know, like my friends in Missouri and out in Pennsylvania, that's the only cable you're allowed to use, nothing smaller than 3/32. So we'll try to go over that as well in a day or two. But today we're concentrating on 5/64 1x19, different styles of locks as far as speed, as far as positive lockup, everything all being equal, and we'll see what maybe I can help some of y'all make a better choice as far as your snare locks go, or cable restraints, whichever you have to use. Make sure you check your state laws and use what's legal in your state. So anyway, let's get this thing started. We'll get things set up here and we'll get going. Stay with me, guys. All right, guys, so the first one we're going to look at here is a mini cam lock on loaded, and you see that I've loaded it. And if you don't know what that means, if you're new to this channel and you're new to snaring, new to cable restraints, you don't know what that means, go into my playlist and look at the snaring and cable restraint library, and it'll tell you everything you need to know right there as far as loading cable. And what it does is it speeds everything up. So we're on 5/64 1x19 with a mini cam lock. We've got it loaded pretty fast. I mean, I know I did it, that's really extreme pull on it. We'll try to get that set up to where it's a little bit more like it would be in the field. Yeah, it's not too bad as far as speed goes. Now, we already know, I mean, or at least I do, at least from my experience, that you're going to get, with that cam lock, that's a positive lockup. I mean, there's no question about it. When he sticks his head in there, it's not going to back off. So anyway, there it is, 5/64 1x19 with a mini cam. It's not too bad. It's pretty fast, actually, a lot faster than what I thought it was going to be. The cam lock seems to be a little bit slow on the 1x19 cable, but with the mini, that was, you know, I'm usually using the larger cam, and we're going to look at it too here. But this is the mini cam, and it seemed to be pretty dadgum fast. So anyway, moving on here, this is the aggressor lock, they call it. It's basically just an L lock, as you can see. They call it the aggressor. We'll kind of see what it... I've never used them. I don't know a thing in the world about them, guys. Not impressed as far as speed. It's pretty slow. Try it again here. Yeah, it's pretty slow lock on this cable. Now, it may change, you know, in a day or two when we look at the 7x7, it might change. Anyway, we'll see what it does here. I can already tell you it's going to be a deadly lock. That's a positive lockup for sure on that lock. And a lot of that will change if you go from a double ferrule here to a single ferrule. Sometimes that'll change because you're changing the pitch of the cable on the lock, believe that or not, and that will change whether this is a positive lockup or not. And we'll go into that in a future video as well. We'll delve off into that. The next lock we have here is the Lowepro. It's almost like the mini lock, or yeah, like the micro, but it's just a little bit different. This is what they call the Lowepro lock. Again, 5/64 1x19 loaded. Fairly fast, not extraordinary quick, but pretty good. I wouldn't be afraid to use it as far as that goes. As far as the speed, it seems to be, yeah, seems to be pretty good. Now we'll see about the positive lockup here. That's very important to me anyway, is a positive lockup. I like a Yeah, that thing's, I mean, it's not backing off a bit. So yeah, I wouldn't have a problem using this lock, at least testing it. Now there's something you need to understand too on some of these locks, and you need to be aware of it. A lot of the damage on the fur doesn't necessarily come from the cable as it does from the lock. The fur gets wadded up and wound up in there between the cable and the hole in the lock where the cable slides through there, and a lot of times that causes a lot of damage. So that's something else you need to look in. You know, you need to be looking at when you're picking locks, or when you're at least testing locks. You need to look at how much damage that lock is causing, not only the cable. So yeah, that was the Lowepro. That was I wouldn't have a problem running that lock. I've never ran it before, but I sure wouldn't have a problem with it. And now we go to the big bent washer, quarter size or 50-cent piece size washer lock bent in a 90. These have, you know, there's been thousands of animals caught with these. I've never been a huge fan of them. Once I got away from them, I never looked back. I personally watched 5 beaver one spring get out of my snares using these locks. They would reach up there with their big back foot, hook that cable, and pop it right open and be gone. So once I made the switch from these to cam locks, I never looked back. Now there's been some changes since then, as far as like here with the double ferrule, the difference in cables, as versus 7x7 to the 1x19, those kind of things. So anyway, you know, it might be something you want to look at if you're a cable restraint only state. If you live in a state that only allows cable restraints, this is something you might want to check into. Ooh, pretty fast. Pretty fast on that loaded cable. Very fast, in fact. Now we'll check and see here about positive lockup. Oh yeah. Which you can turn these locks, and I already knew this, you can turn these locks into a killing type lock just by doing away with the single ferrule here and going to this double, because again it changes the pitch as to how this is coming across this cable for a lockup. So I may not get there we go. I didn't know if I was going to get it to open up and get myself out. Thought I was going to have to cut it. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with that lock on this cable. So that might be something that you might want to take a look into for yourself. Next up, we have the miniature Hoffman lock, or the Hoffman style anyway, that's in a miniature. I've never been a big fan of these locks, for the simple fact is I've had them cut cable before. So I want to warn you about that up front ahead of time. I have had several of these cut cables, and I have caught animals that have been not in the small, not in the mini lock, but in the bigger one. I've had several cut myself, and I've even re-caught animals that guys were using these that had them break them. So it's something you might want to really think about and really look into before you go buying a bunch of these. And we'll see how fast it is here. I'm not real impressed there. Pretty slow, actually. Yeah, I'm not real impressed with as far as the speed of the lock. We'll see about the lockup, which I'm sure. Oh yeah, it doesn't back off. It doesn't back off at all. So, but again, guys, I would caution you. It's something you need to look into and do some testing on your own. And again, that might change going from a double ferrule here to a single ferrule. It might change a little bit for you. But so those are some things you want to look at if you're looking at this miniature Hoffman lock. Next, we're going to look at the Reichert Slammer lock. This is a bent washer that's bent 180, as you can see. I have used the lock, but it's been years and years and years ago when I tried it. Can't really recall as to whether I liked it or not too much. Like I said, once I made the switch over to the cams, I never looked back. But now that, you know, I know there are some states that the cam lock's not allowed, you have to use a one-piece lock. So anyway, we'll see what it does here. Yeah, pretty fast. Not terrible fast, but pretty decent. Yeah, it's not too bad. The one thing I do like about it is it does close a lot farther on this 1x19, and I think a lot of that has to do with the bigger lock as far as weight. And once it rounds this corner, then it really drops and fires fast. So anyway, yeah, it's not too terrible as far as speed. Oh yeah, it's you can tell it's not backing off any. So that would be another lethal type lock if that's what you're looking for. That would be a very good lethal lock to use, in my opinion. And then last but not least, here we have a 3/32 5/64 toothed cam lock. I've not used the toothed lock a whole lot. I usually just run the smooth 3/32 lock, or the 3/32 5/64, bigger size like this. We'll see what. Yeah, it's pretty slow, which I knew that. I've run hundreds of these things, and I knew it was going to be pretty slow on this this 1x19 cable. But I do know for a fact that these are, I mean, there's no doubt they're a positive lockup. The cam lock, it just does not back off. So if you can use it in your state and you're looking for a lethal type of lock, that is sure enough one to use. Again, it's not real fast on this cable, but it'll darn sure positively lock up for you. All right, guys, I think we're going to go ahead and end this video here. I hope it was helpful to some of you, and I hope it maybe gave a little more insight and a little more depth into picking cable restraint locks or snare locks for you and whatever you have to use in your state. Again, guys, I sure appreciate you tuning in and watching. I appreciate everything you've done for this channel. If you found this content enjoyable, if you found it helpful, if you would please just hit that thumbs up for me. And until next time, once again, guys, this is Dale Billingsley with another one. Signing out.